The NBA has a problem. More than ever before, fans are opting to watch other sports, resulting in the NBA's alarmingly low viewership numbers. The NBA has even lost its battle to TV shows, notably HBO's House of Dragon, which outperformed the previous 3 NBA finals dating back to 2020. This is especially alarming when you remember the distribution of each, as the NBA Finals is on network television, while House of Dragons is on HBO, a premium service you have to pay for. But perhaps the most alarming statistic came by way of this year's All-Star Game, which averaged a combined 2.2 rating and 4.59 million viewers across TNT and TBS, making it easily the lowest rated and least watched edition of the game. Even Mike Malone, a literal coach in the game, said it was painful to watch.
It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be a part of a great weekend, great players, but that is the worst basketball game ever played.
Mike Malone is right. Kudos to him and anyone else who was able to sit through that entire game. But sadly, this is what the NBA has become, and the entertainment industry has left the NBA behind. In 2022, Sportico reported that NFL games accounted for 82 of the 100 most watched US broadcasts. College football had 5 of the top 100, political programming had 4, the World Cup had 3, and college basketball had 2. The NBA? 0. Whether or not you want to admit it, change is needed in the NBA. The product is stale, it lacks passion, and the proof is absolutely in the pudding. Jason and I did an episode on this the other day, and I did a TikTok about it, which a lot of you had some very strong reactions to. I brought up the topic of possibly bringing promotion and relegation to the NBA. My idea was basically to take the G League champion and the worst team in the NBA and have them play a best of 7 series at the end of the season with the right to move on to the NBA. The main thing that I heard from you guys that spoke out against my idea was that a G League team would never be able to compete with an NBA team. I'm going to address this. But before I do want to hear your thoughts on this topic. I think it's a fun argument, whether or not it's realistic. I think it's a fun one to have. So drop a comment. Let me know if you think you'd be on board for this topic of relegation and promotion in the NBA, or let me know if you think we're crazy people and this is just an insane topic. Do it nicely, though. We're all friends here. Now, let's address the notion that a G League team could never beat an NBA team. I'd say for the most part, this is pretty accurate. This video isn't about me convincing you that a G League team can suddenly compete with an NBA team. I don't think that. But I'll say this. Here's why a best of 7 series between a G League champion and an NBA dead last place team would be really interesting and probably a little more close than most people would like to admit. So let's say my idea was to come into play this season. Right now, we'd be gearing up for a best of 7 series between the Detroit Pistons and the Delaware Bluecoats. And one notable thing to me, the Pistons starting 5 of Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, and Isaiah Livers has an average age of 22.4 years old. The Bluecoats starting 5, on the other hand, Mac McClung, Patrick McCaw, Braxton Key, Michael Foster Jr., and a guy named Charlie Brown, they have an average age of 24.6. One's roughly 22, the other's roughly 25. All the time in college basketball, we talk about how the key to winning is to get old and stay old. You're telling me this suddenly doesn't apply to the NBA? Because anyone who's played the game, including myself, knows how crucial those development years are between 20 and 25. Massive years for the development of a young player. So yes, on paper, maybe it doesn't look like a big age difference, but anyone who's played the game knows there's a big difference between a 22-year-old and a 25-year-old. But the more important thing, so many people have been quick to tell me, if you think a G League team could beat an NBA team, you've never played the game of basketball. To anyone who says that, I'll raise you this. Anyone who thinks that doesn't understand the concept of promotion and relegation. Because what a series like this would ultimately be is a battle between 2 teams. One, a group of guys whose lifelong dreams of making the NBA are on the line. The other team, a group of young guys who haven't played a meaningful game in months and won just 17 games all season long. Not for nothing, this series would also have everything Pistons fans have been dying to see, and that's passion. Pistons fans haven't seen a true desire to win once this season. If you want to see NBA players compete, and if you want to see basketball at a high level, You have to raise the stakes. And so if you have a group of G League guys who have an opportunity to accomplish a lifelong dream and all that stands in between them is a team that's won 17 games, the will to win can become a lot higher than the Pistons' fear to lose. We see it in the NCAA tournament all the time. Teams that are expected to win go down early and panic. You're telling me all of a sudden this just wouldn't happen to a Pistons team that's average age is younger than 23 years old? And the biggest and most important thing of this idea is that you could effectively end the concept of tanking. Even if you still have an NBA draft, which I would still do, you would eliminate the desire to get that number 1 overall pick because teams would be too scared to flirt with being the worst team. Anyway, that's my idea. I think it's a fun one. I think it'd be really cool to see one day. Maybe we're just all dreaming, thinking that we could see this happen. But let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, thank you for tuning in and being a friend of the show.